Hello student, this is Professor Srinivasan here. And since the last couple of days, some of you have been requesting me to put up a video explaining the concept of tracking error. Well, as far as explaining the concept goes, I had already put up a YouTube short video explaining the concept a couple of days ago. If you want, I can put up the description or the link of the video right up here and you can go and watch it. But anyways, since we are going to solve a problem now on tracking error, I might as well explain it in brief. Now, what does tracking error exactly tell you? Well, it tells you to what extent does your mutual fund investment track the performance of the benchmark, or in other words, how closely does your mutual fund investment follow the benchmark performance. So for example, let us say that you have invested in a mutual fund and that mutual fund is giving a return of 10%. And during the same time, the benchmark, and let us, for the purposes of our discussion, presume that the benchmark is the Sensex. Sensex has given a return of 12%. That means your mutual fund has underperformed the benchmark performance by 2%. But it could have been the other way also, meaning your mutual fund could have given a return of 10% while the benchmark could have given a return of only 8%. So even in that case, your mutual fund has overperformed the benchmark performance by 2%. So that means your mutual fund investment is not exactly following the benchmark in terms of performance. So now the question is, how do we quantify these deviations? Well, the process is very simple. All you need to do is calculate the difference between the mutual fund's return and the benchmark's return. And once you found the difference, all you need to do is find the standard deviation of these differences. That's all. It's basically a two-step process. One, find the difference, and two, find the standard deviation of the difference. Now, this is where the important thing is. You don't need to find the standard deviation of the returns. What you need to do is find the standard deviation of the differences. Let's take an example. And let us see how this is calculated. The following returns are generated by a mutual fund and the corresponding returns of the benchmark index are given. So these are data for 5 years, return of mutual fund 15, 13, 11, 16, 17, and this is the return of the index. You are required to calculate the tracking error of the returns of the mutual fund. So here 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Return of mutual fund. Let's indicate this by RM 15, 13, 11, 16 and 17, and return of index, let's indicate this by RI, that's 18, 7, 9, 16 and 12. So the first step is we find the difference between the mutual fund return and the benchmarks return. So that is RM minus RI. So 15 minus 18 is minus 3, 13 minus 7 is 6, 11 minus 9 is 2, 16 minus 16 is 0, and 17 minus 12 is 5. Now this is basically the difference, and let us indicate this difference by, say, D. Now we need to find the standard deviation of D. So for that, what we do is we need to first find D bar. So we take the total, that is 6 minus 3 is 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 5, 10. And the number of observation is 5. So the average difference, or what we call as D bar, is 10 divided by 5. That is 2. Now to find the standard deviation, we need to do D minus D bar, and then we need to do D minus D bar the whole square. So what will be the D minus D bar? Minus 3 minus 2 minus 5, 6 minus 2, 4, 2 minus 2, 0, 0 minus 2, minus 2 and 5 minus 2. 3. Now, D minus D bar whole square, that is 25, 16, 0, 4 and 9. So this gives us 54. Now, normally, how do we calculate standard deviation? We would have done D minus D bar whole square upon n and the square root of this. Well, in this case, that is in the case of finding out tracking error, we don't take the denominator as n, we take it as n minus 1. Now students, you might already be familiar with the concept that when you are finding the standard deviation of the population, you take the denominator as n, but while calculating the standard deviation of a sample, the denominator is taken as n minus 1. So while finding tracking error, we consider that the data given is of a sample and therefore the denominator is taken as n minus 1. So in which case n minus 1, that's 4. So if we do this, standard deviation of the difference would be square root of 54 by 4. and that gives us 3.67. And this student is what we call as tracking error. So if you really look at it, it's pretty simple concept. And as far as examination goes, this kind of question could actually be a bonus generator. Whatever little marks would be assigned to this question, say maximum of 4 or 5 marks, that would be bonus marks for you. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any doubts, just post it in the comments and I'll try my level best to reply to your queries. Ciao.